A natural catastrophe leaves Tom's mother and 10,000 people in a desperate situation. If Tom saves his mother, he will not have time to save the 10,000 people, and the 10,000 people will die. If Tom saves the 10,000 people, he won't have time to save his mother, and his mother will die. Which side should Tom save? Many point out that if the principle of consequentialism is followed, Tom should save the 10,000 people, because the principle of consequentialism is to maximize the overall utility. In order to maximize the overall utility, Tom has no choice but to save the 10,000 people. This principle has been criticized by many. They criticize the principle for only valuing the overall utility and ignoring individual utility, which is very unfair to individuals. Why can Tom only save the 10,000 people instead of saving his mother? However, this criticism is wrong. Consequentialism would never require Tom to save the 10,000 people. Why do critics make this mistake? Because their calculations of consequence are wrong. We know that the government exists for two main purposes: to prevent unfair competition and to promote cooperation. In terms of preventing unfair competition, in the vast majority of cases, all people rely on legal compulsion to prevent unfair competition. However, when it comes to promoting cooperation, in the vast majority of cases, the government cannot legislate to force everyone to cooperate. It has to respect the will of individuals. We know that promoting cooperation is just as important as preventing unfair competition. Why doesn't the government legislate to force everyone to cooperate? Because once such laws are implemented, the government can deprive individuals of their rights at any time in the name of promoting cooperation. It can force Tom to save the 10,000 people instead of saving his mother. It can take away anyone's wealth, and it can even take anyone's life. Such laws are bound to cause panic among everyone, and the country will inevitably collapse very quickly. Therefore, in order to avoid the collapse of the country, in terms of promoting cooperation, the government cannot force everyone to cooperate. It has to respect the will of individuals. Even if Tom doesn't save the 10,000 people, he won't be punished in any way. Of course, if Tom saves the 10,000 people instead of saving his mother, it does promote cooperation, which increases the overall utility. So this kind of act is always encouraged by the government and society. But if Tom doesn't want to do it, the government can't force Tom to do it. It is clear that the principle followed by the government is the principle of consequentialism. So it is very clear what choice consequentialism will require Tom to make. To maximize the overall utility, consequentialism must respect Tom's will. It is right for Tom to save the 10,000 people, and it isn't wrong for him to save his mother. In addition, critics criticize consequentialism for ignoring individual interests. This shows that from the critics' point of view, it is right for Tom to save his mother and wrong to save the 10,000 people. If this theory is followed, no one is permitted to sacrifice his own life to save the lives of others. However, we all know that it is the most noble act. Obviously, this theory is very absurd. The critics' mistake is that they simply believe there is only one right option. However, this is not to say that under no circumstances can the government force everyone to cooperate. In some cases, the government has to force everyone to cooperate. The most common example is conscription. When a foreign enemy invades, the government must be able to force people to enlist in the army in order to protect the homeland.